What the fuck is up, YouTube? I know it's been a little minute, but I am back and I am never leaving you.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
So with Survivor Series War Games right around the corner, I thought this was a good opportunity to reflect on a time where the Survivor Series pay-per-view had way more excitement around it. This was back when Survivor Series was centered around brand supremacy, bragging rights if you will, the only night of the year where we could watch superstars from SmackDown and Raw collide with one another. There'd be singles matches, tag matches, but everyone's favorite to look forward to was of course the 5-on-5 elimination matches, consisting of 5 Raw superstars taking on 5 SmackDown superstars, in a highly anticipated, very entertaining match for the most part. I say main event, but in later years, the 5-on-5 wouldn't headline the show every time, but regardless, it was still the most exciting match of the night. And like I previously said, this was the only time during the year we'd see Raw and SmackDown superstars face off against one another. So the people in these matches actually mattered, and you wanted to see the best from both brands. With that being said, over the years we saw some really good teams, some mediocre teams, and some flat out garbage fucking ass teams. But that's for another video. Today we want to look at the best combinations of competitors on a 5-man side. Some of these were really fun and some are just flat out overpowered. But we're going to take a look at the best examples over the years. Hope and pray that one day, maybe just one day, we will have this version of Survivor Series back. With all that rambling out of the way, let's hop into it with our first team. And this is going to be in no chronological order. I'm just going to be pulling these teams out of my ass, starting with Survivor Series 2001's Alliance versus WWF match. And if we're keeping it a buck, both of these teams were stacked as fuck. Team Alliance consisted of Steve fucking Austin alongside Booker T, Kurt fucking Angle, Shane McMahon, and Rob Van Dam. Tell me that ain't one of the most diverse yet overpowered ass teams you've ever seen. Overpowered to a certain extent though, because they would obviously lose the match to that crazy ass WWF team. That WWF team we're talking about had guys like The Rock, Chris Jericho, Big Show, Kane, and Undertaker. Yeah, good luck. All those guys are in their prime too, and it makes sense that they won because Team Alliance did have a young RVD and Shano, but I still prefer the Alliance team just a little more, mainly because they have more of my favorite superstars like RVD, Kurt Angle, and Booker T. But these two teams were equally as deadly, and they wouldn't get this crazy for a while. They really set the bar here early on. The star power in this fight is almost unmatched, and this is often regarded as one of the greatest Survivor Series matches of all time. Just look at these teams. Unbelievable. Another one of my favorite teams is this clusterfuck of talent that was just over as shit all at the same time. Survivor Series 2006 match gave us this Team DX consisting of Shawn and Triple H, of course, who were over as crack in the 80s at the time. The Hardy Boys, who've always had a huge fan base, but it sort of peaked around this period. And of course, an up-and-coming CM Punk, who got the loudest reaction out of all these guys, and even got put over by Triple H in the opening promo, which is kind of hilarious because fast forward a few years later and these two wanted to Swiss cheese each other in real life. But this team was so good, in fact, that they clean swept the opposing team like the Warriors in 2018, which I'm not going to get into the other team because I want to save them for my worst teams video. Team DX managed to pull off this match without losing a single teammate, which is kind of unheard of. I don't think anyone has ever done this. And honestly, what a crazy hybrid of competitors. But seriously, can you guys remember another Survivor Series match going 5-0? If so, let me know. This is one of those teams that doesn't even look real looking at it, but it actually happened. It's so cool that these 5 legends were in the company around the same period, let alone got to team up for a night. And I also love how it happened during interesting times in their careers. Triple H and Shawn are hitting their later years in wrestling with their DX reboot. The Hardys are red hot, but we all know that Jeff had his personal issues not too long after this pay-per-view. And of course, CM Punk was still trying to make a name for himself on the main roster in ECW. I really like this one. The match itself was decent, nothing too crazy, but ultimately this is one of those teams that sticks out like a boner when you're at school. But let's take a second to rewind just 1 year, possibly my favorite Survivor Series teams of all time. Let's go back to 2005. Teddy Long must have been smoking on that Walter White blue meth whenever he cooked this team up. The Animal Batista, JBL, Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, and Rey Mysterio. Like, who the fuck is gonna beat this team? You got two monsters in the form of Batista and Lashley on the same side. the youngest world champion at the time, Randy Orton, JBL, who was fresh off his reign of terror, and then throw in the high-flying Rey Mysterio for good measure. Why not? Just absolutely unbeatable, and in no scenario does this team lose. Raw side was decent, but nowhere near as strong. You had Shawn Michaels as team captain, but the rest of the team kind of lacked the star power that SmackDown's had. And that's not saying that I didn't love Carlito and Masters. They were good, and so were Show and Kane, but come on, just look at that SmackDown team. It is beautiful. I remember I would cut on this pay-per-view just to watch the entrances sometimes. This match was pretty good though, and one of the strongest 5-on-5s at the pay-per-view for sure. And the cherry on top was obviously that Undertaker return at the end of the match, which made it very memorable and unforgettable. Alright, we're really starting to heat up here, guys, but before we move on to our next team, I want to remind you all to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it. It takes 2 seconds and it helps me out a lot. I know I've been slacking off a little bit, but I'm going to be back on YouTube grinding. I've been getting really busy with work and just life in general, but I am back for good and will be pushing out content like Mexico does fentanyl. So with that being said, let's get back to the video. The next team is going to be a little controversial to some people. You either like it or you don't, but I'm going with Team Authority at Survivor Series 2014. To some of you, this team may look a little unseasoned, but I just love the concept of building your team around Seth Rollins and surrounding him with nothing but pure monsters. You got Kane in there, which was alright, I guess, only because it was corporate Kane. It would have been a lot better if he was still Demon Kane. But then you got US Champion Rusev, who was really dominating on the main roster at this time. The world's strongest man, Mark Henry. And then my favorite addition to the team, the sadistic Luke Harper, who was Intercontinental Champion around this time and putting on bangers with Dolph Ziggler. Remember that? This is such an underrated side of 5. I just hate how Kane brings this team's aura down like a lot. Just look at this image. They look so goddamn tough, and then you got Kane over there looking like a bag of milk. Surprisingly, though, this team would lose the match. This is one of those teams that's more like if WWE was real, it was unbeatable. But you can thank Dolph Ziggler's cocaine plug for that. But the climax to it was unforgettable, which saw Triple H getting his hands dirty with Dolph, calling out his own ref and Scott Armstrong. Didn't he land on the moon or something? But then the lights would go out, and it was Sting who came to the aid of Dolph Ziggler. Really unexpected for me, as I was like 9 years old at the time, and not reading the dirt sheets just yet. It was a cool debut. 7 years too late if you ask me, but it added a lot to the match and made for a classic moment, so you can't really complain. Anyways, let's stick to this trend of powerhouse teams. Another good one was Team Bischoff at Survivor Series 2003 with Chris Jericho, Scott Steiner, Randy Orton, Mark Henry, and Christian. Pretty damn solid, and Team Austin was looking pretty sexy too. You got Shawn, the Dudleys, Booker T, and Rob Van Dam. If you haven't seen this match, I highly recommend it. It's a little long, but very entertaining. Shawn Michaels went full-on 2014 Dolph Ziggler in this one. There was also another 5-on-5 with Team Angle taking on Team Lesnar, and Team Lesnar looks absolutely insane. I like to call this team Roid Rage. Lesnar, Nathan Jones, Matt Morgan, A-Train, and Big Show. If wrestling was real, nobody would ever beat this team. Kurt Angle's side was pretty solid too. He had John Cena and Chris Benoit on his team. Bradshaw is a little questionable because he's still in his APA gimmick, which had ran dry as my Snapchat DMs by that point. And then you get Hardcore Holly, which is kind of meh. Don't get me wrong though, I love Hardcore Holly as he is from my hometown of Alabama, baby. But him and Bradshaw really knocked some points off this team for me. This Survivor Series was really weird because there was no 5-on-5 for Raw versus SmackDown. Each brand actually had their own Survivor Series matches, which is a shame because the potential this match had was insane. Team SmackDown could have been Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, John Cena, and Big Show, taking on a Team Raw that would have had guys like Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, Chris Jericho, Rob Van Dam, and Booker T. Or you could even throw Steiner in there to match up with the Big Show. The possibilities were endless. They made the same silly mistake the following year at Survivor Series 2004, where each brand would have their own exclusive Survivor Series match, which was so whack. Like, why would you do this instead of giving us the SmackDown versus Raw matches? These bouts could have taken place on a regular weekly show. But regardless, Eddie Guerrero's team was looking nice, with John Cena, Big Show, and Rob Van Dam by his side. But can you imagine if this pay-per-view had the normal SmackDown versus Raw match? Our Team SmackDown would consist of like Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, John Cena, Big Show, and RVD. versus something like Triple H, Batista, Benoit, Jericho, and Randy Orton. But I guess it makes sense as to why they did it this way, because it'd be very confusing for a lot of these Raw guys to coexist on the same team. Like Triple H and Benoit had a year-long feud, and Randy was done with Evolution by this point, but I'm sure they could have figured something better out. Another fire-ass team is this Team Batista from Survivor Series 2008. You got Matt Hardy, CM Punk, and Kofi Kingston, who were tag champions at the time, and then K-Quick, who was over as fuck too. You couldn't tell me this team wasn't putting belt to ass. They lost, though, to Team Randy, which was looking pretty deadly. You got Mark Henry and Cody Rhodes in there, and then both mid-card champions on the same team, Shelton Benjamin and William Regal. Pretty strong heel team, to be honest, but looking back, all the teams on this pay-per-view went crazy. You had Shawn's team, which was kind of weird. I'm not going to lie, it was weird, but it was kind of good, too. Great Khali, Crime Time, Rey Mysterio. Weird mix of guys, but sometimes that's what makes a team good, is seeing these wrestlers team up, which we never thought would. And this is completely unrelated, but I just wanted to point out that Vladimir Kozlov was in a triple threat match for the WWE title against Triple H and Jeff Hardy. Yeah, dark times, dark times. Finally, though, we're at the biggest, most dominant team in Survivor Series history. I don't give a fuck what you say, and probably the reason you clicked on this video. Hands down, the greatest side of 5 we've ever seen in the WWE was Raw's 2016 Survivor Series team, consisting of Braun Strowman, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Holy shit, what a team. Raw literally grabbed their 5 biggest stars at the time and said, fuck it. Fuck the rest of the card. This is what our team is going to look like. And don't get me wrong, SmackDown side was looking pretty good too, with AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Shane McMahon. But come on, everyone at the time knew it. This was a little bit of a mismatch. That Raw team is something to behold. Usually every Survivor Series team has that one weak link. Case in point, 80-year-old Shane McMahon for SmackDown. But Raw had literally no weak links. And I think that's what makes it 10 times better, is that all of these guys, except Roman, were pretty goddamn over at the time. Braun Strowman was squashing your favorite wrestler on Raw. Jericho had the list going. Him and Kevin Owens were entertaining as fuck. Arguably the best part of Raw. And Rollins was freshening his face run after Triple H turned on him. It was the perfect team. They nailed it. But for some reason, the better your team is, the more likely you are to lose. Because Raw shockingly lost this match. Like, what the fuck, man? What a waste of the greatest team in WWE history. Get the fuck out of here. With that being said, I think this is a good time to end the video and a good time for you guys to get laid and stop watching wrestling content. Nah, I'm lying. There's a lot of dog shit ass teams I want to talk about though, so leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see that video. It'll be dropping real soon. And don't forget to leave a comment, as I'm sure there's a lot of teams I missed. I just wanted to highlight the ones that stuck out to me, but I'm interested in you guys' opinions. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button or I will bang your mom. My goal is to hit 100 subs before the year ends, which will bring me that much closer to my goal of 1,000 subscribers. This video was a lot of fun to make, but we'll be looking at shitty teams real soon, which will probably be even more fun and funnier. Make sure to turn on post notifications for that. Stay dangerous, guys. Don't forget to drink and drive. It is awesome, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace out.